Hello and welcome back to the Nats Metal Production Channel here at YouTube. Welcome to 100 episodes. Yes, 100 episodes of the reviews. I've made it this far. It's pretty unbelievable that I've gotten this far. I've made it to about 100 episodes. So, well, with that, for my 100th episode, since this whole week pretty much hinted, I am here to review the newest album from British heavy metal legends. That's, of course, is the band playing in the background. That is Judas Priest. Since this whole week was all Judas Priest themed, I was already hinting that the 100th episode of the reviews was going to be a review for their newest album titled Firepower. Now, before I actually get into the actual album, we do have to kind of bring up the fact that if this is the last album for guitar player Glenn Tipton, then I think he went out on a pretty good note here. So, with that, and of course, if you did not know, he of course coming out a few days ago, or a week ago or so, that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which he had been dealing for about 10 years. So, with that, if this is his last album with the band, since he of course is not going to be touring with them for this album, though he might do sporadic appearances here and there maybe during the tour, but he is of course not going to do full time. In his place, of course, is the album's producer, which is Andy Sneap, who of course this is his first album producing a Judas Priest album, and mostly he was producing albums for Accept. He's the reason for why Accept is pretty much back in power, in terms of you brought him back to that sort of power status. Same goes for Saxon, producing pretty much the last 3 albums here, from Sacrifice to Battering Ram. Of course, the newest album that was released this year, Thunderbolt. And so with that, and of course this album also marks a return for producer Tom Allom, who of course started producing the band since the Unleashed in the East album back in 1979 to the last studio album that he had produced, which was Ram It Down from 1988. So this many years. Of course he did somewhat produce this very DVD as well though, actually, which of course was Epitaph. Which, the Epitaph tour, though, actually marked the debut for guitar player Richie Faulkner, who of course replaced K.K. Downing during this tour back in 2011. So, there was that. And Firepower also marks the second studio album for new guitar player Richie Faulkner. His debut was on 2013's Redeemer of Souls, and which of course was the last album for this, before Firepower. And if I had to really say what I really thought about Redeemer of Souls, it wasn't a bad album, but because of its production and because of, I guess to some extent, maybe some of the songs, it wasn't their best album. I definitely somewhat disliked a bit of this album. It's not a bad album, I just didn't think it was nearly that great of an album. Firepower, though, here is definitely an improvement over Redeemer of Souls, for sure. Both production, both performance, and writing. It's definitely much more of a solid album from start to finish. The duo of Andy Sneap and Tom Allom definitely really boosted the album, really boosted up the performance of some of this, the whole performance of the musicians. So with that, let's finally get into the album itself. The album, of course, starts off, pretty much kicks off with three. I would say definitely one of the best songs here being Firepower, which is the title track, Lightning Strikes, and of course, Evil Never Dies. Evil Never Dies is a fucking killer track all the way through. And of course, we then get to like, it's just all, I would say, all pretty good tracks here. Firepower is just a fiery opener. It lives up to its title. Lightning Strikes lives up to its title. It definitely strikes quite a bit of lightning. Evil Never Dies, well, the song definitely never dies in a way. It's just, in a way, it's just all classic Priest here. To me, it's like, I know some, they all have their preferences of what they think of classic Priest. If you didn't watch my various sounds of Judas Priest, these guys have went through so many sounds, so many different eras. Only, and those who have lived those will only would say, yeah, that's probably that's more classic Priest. But this is them just keeping up with the sound that they kind of pretty much started playing since the Painkiller album. So what makes the sound or some of these songs different from anything off of Painkiller? So still great track though. Then of course we get to the song Never the Heroes, which when this song was released, there were quite a bit of people that thought the song was good, but then you had some that said that it was one of the weaker songs because it was a ballad. Come on, like Judas Priest has never done a fucking ballad in their entire career. God, I think people just were like expecting nothing but Painkiller, and I'll get to that here bit. I'll get to that. Never the Heroes though, to me, it's pretty much worth fighting for part 2. It's pretty much like that off of Angel Retribution, but though I like the Worth Fighting For track, so therefore I like Never the Heroes song, and I think it's a good song. It's a bit melodic, but what's wrong with that? It's a good song. That's all it is. It's a good song. After that comes Necromancer. Another good track, though. Actually, it definitely, though, might be probably their most kind of graphically, lyrically, I think, when it comes to, like, violence. Probably their most. It really is basically almost like Undead or some kind of like that. It's, though a pretty good track, it definitely would have fit on the Painkiller album for sure. Definitely, I would say, is another good song. Then, of course, we come to Children of the Sun. And this is probably by far, right here, one of my other favorite tracks off this album. It's got a bit of a doomy sort of feel to it. Kind of like something that, kind of like Victim of Changes. Or maybe something that you would have gotten like off of like, Soundings of Destiny. Or that. But just with its, almost Painkiller-esque production. It's heavy, slow, but it's got enough to it that definitely, to me, just has quite a bit of quality there. It's a good song for sure. Definitely one of my favorites. Then, of course, we get to Guardians, which is, of course, is kind of almost an atmospheric, though almost kind of reminds you a bit like The Hellion off of Screamer for Vengeance, though it's just kind of close to that. But it again serves as like an intro to the next song here, which is Rising from Ruins, and it's another good track, another great one here. Just again, it's another quality track. That's all I could say. I really like Rising from the Ruins. It's got a bit of still kind of keeping the same sort of beat as almost like Children of the Sun, though a bit slightly more metallic, though less doomy, but almost kind of in a way works as a follow-up to Children of the Sun. Then, of course, we get the Flamethrower, and you think it's probably going to be a speed metal track, right? No, it's not. But it does have enough quality beat to it, upbeatness and everything that keeps it from not being, you know, a bit of a downer, I guess. It's another good track, though, definitely. To me, it's just Judas Priest doing what they do best. That's, of course, just churn out quality heavy metal. And that's what it has. It's got a killer chorus in a way that definitely sticks to you like they've always done in the past. So, it's another solid track with some killer solos, of course. However, We then get the track 10, that's Spectre, and holy shit. This is again another favorite of mine. When this song was released as a snippet back in I think like November or December, holy shit, did that fucking main riff or so, did that grab me by the jugular. And this song does not hold back. This is definitely, I would say, probably the more majestic kind of, I guess in a way it just has that sort of feel of the songs off this album. Everything about it just screams fucking top-notch quality for me. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite Judas Priest songs off this album for sure. Just a great track. And of course we get to Trader's Gate. Again, keeping up the quality here. Starts off a little bit, almost a bit slow and melodic or so, but it doesn't get any. It just picks up and everything. It's definitely a solid track. Great chorus, of course. Just a good track. No Surrender is probably the shortest song on this album here. Pretty much marking at 2 minutes and 54 seconds. And it's a great track, though. It definitely kind of almost has a bit of a commercial-esque quality, but it still doesn't lose any punch or anything. I think it's just another solid track. No way would I consider it much a filler, but it is at least a solid track for sure. Lone Wolf. If I ever said that Children of the Sun had a bit of a doomy vibe to it, this song is even more doomier than that one. This one's definitely is the most Black Sabbath sounding of the song. Kind of going back to the original sound of Rock-a-Rolla. Probably to a song like Winter, which had a bit of that Sabbathy feel to it. And that's what they kind of go back to, in a way, with Lone Wolf. But definitely a bit heavier, and it's a solid track. Now it's time to get to the last song here, which is Sea of Red. Good way to end the album. That's all I could say. Would it be considered the best album closers for Judas Priest? That's tough. That's a tough one. But it is a good song. The Sea of Red is actually one I before I ever heard this track, I actually remember like reading an interview with Rob Halford, and he kind of said that the song is about poppies growing on what is it, that the Belgian fields or so of World War One, and how they, and it just seemed kind of interesting that it's about that and stuff. Sea of Red. If you don't know what poppies are, they're flowers. So, and it was just on a site that where World War One was held at. Again, it almost has a bit of a sentimental thing in a way, and it adds to the track in a way. I think it works very well with that. It's a good song for sure. So with that, 14 songs, though technically 13 songs, and one instrumental that is also an intro. Definitely, it's a solid album from start to finish. I definitely have a bit of an easier time listening to this one than I actually do with Redeemer of Souls. It definitely keeps itself better paced than Redeemer of Souls in many ways. But that's time to bring up to the question that many were like, oh, we're wondering, or we're all kind of hyping up. That's the fact of, is this the best album since Painkiller? This is where I think the problem comes when I see people that dislike this album. It's because of how many people were hyping this up to be the next big thing since Painkiller. People always want to put Judas Priest on much higher of a pedestal because of Judas Priest. They've made so many classic albums. I know I'm now going to throw in a bit of a rant here. No, I probably would not say this is the best since Painkiller. If anything, this is the best since Angel Retribution. And what's wrong with that? Angel Retribution was a good album. it was definitely a good comeback album for definitely Rob Halford being back on Judas Priest. And this is the best since Rob Halford coming back to Judas Priest. But is this the best album since the album that he left after? No. But is it close though? It's a bit close to probably being that. But at the same time, I wouldn't do that. I would never consider this even being the best since like Swing for Vengeance or Defenders of the Faith or Stained Class or Sin After Sin or Killing Machine. I would not. But it's definitely one of their best albums here since Angel Retribution. It's just a good album that I think would have served better as a follow-up to Nostradamus than, let's say, Redeemer of Souls. I think Richie Faulkner shows a bit more of his, he shines a bit more on the sound than he did on that. And it's understandable. Redeemer of Souls was pretty much the album that I think some of it might have been, was already being worked out and written on when KK Downing was still in the band. But when KK left, Glenn, I think, kind of ran some of these riffs, or half of them, with Richie. I think Richie just added a bit more of his to it, but in a way, making it not nearly as full long of let's say, of an effort for Richie Faulkner. This sound to me feels much more of that. I think I get a much more of a better feel of Richie Faulkner with this band. And I think he definitely delivers some great guitar solos. There's definitely quite a bit. Sure, it doesn't have that magic of KK and Glenn Tipton. But does that make it anything? Does it make it bad? No. It's just that Richie Faulkner is not KK Downing. So why does it matter? Richie is his own guitar player. I think it's not to replace him, to replace KK, but in a way, he's got his own little feel, and he adds some of that feel to Judas Priest. Just like how many of the different drummers that Judas Priest has had. What's so different? It's just that Judas Priest has never kept a stable lineup. So what's the difference here? What's the fucking difference? There is no difference. It's like, sure, without some of its original members, it's not nearly. But at the same time, the drummer or the guitar player, it's like they've never kept a solid lineup. So what's the difference? Anyways, there's a bit of that rant there. I get so sick and tired almost of some of the people who keep complaining how Judas Priest isn't because of KK Downing isn't in the band. When were they when they were complaining about how many times they've switched drummers? Jesus Christ. Anyways, just that Firepower, definitely one of their better albums here for sure. I'm giving it a rating of a 9.70 out of 10. I was thinking about maybe like a 9.50 or 9.60, but the more I listen to the album, the more it gets bumped up. It's definitely a solid album from start to finish, and I definitely do think it's a great album for sure from Judas Priest. Rob Halford just sounds just tons and tons better than he did on Redeemer of Souls. Sure, the screams aren't nearly as how he did. He's not in his prime anymore, but for the age of he's in, the fact that he still pushed himself for this album is pretty much respectable in many aspects. Still, it's a good album. So, if you have gotten your copy, I've yet to get my copy because I did the Pledge of Music campaign for this one. So yes, I pre-ordered it through there. And I did the t-shirt, CD, and digital download. So that's why I was able to review this album on this release date. So, if you have bought this album, what are your thoughts? So, I would definitely like to know, and you can leave your thoughts on the comment section below. This was definitely a long review because of some of either the complaints or whatever, the rants. So, hope you enjoyed, and until then, this is Heavy Thrash, and I'm out, and I'll see you again. Take care.